YouTube, how we doing? PPS back. It is Past the Prop. It is our Monday edition. You guys know what we do here is Monday Night Football best bets, and also our Week 8 recap. Kind of a lot of stuff to touch on here. Obviously, we'll go over our bets that we had for Sunday, but joined as always by my guy, Monotone Football. How you doing today, Stu?
I'm doing pretty good. It was a nice, relaxing weekend. We got a pretty solid game going as well, too. So, excited to end the week strong right here.
Yeah, no, it's a good week. Obviously, we had another, though it was small, still another profitable game for us and a profitable week. We'll go over our plays here right away, and then we'll kind of get into some games from the weekend, kind of a little recap there. Both of our first plays did cash. We had DeAndre Hopkins, I think, what do you have, 130? He absolutely cooked. And then obviously I had Tyreek over 85.5. I think that hit in about 10 minutes, which was nice. And I boldly played Tyreek to lead the 1 o'clock slate in receiving yards. So that was a nice plus 320 or something. It wasn't as high as I thought, but D-Hop was like the third ranked guy on there. He kind of scared me at the end there because he was coming. Yeah. He was coming for the jugular of Tyreek there. He was just going crazy there at the end of that one. Let's take a look. Oh, and then we get to go talk about our dude. We double up on Wandale, and he just shits the bed. You had any thoughts on this one? Daniel Jones just looked like shit.
Yeah, I didn't watch much football this weekend, so I'm going to have to rewatch the tape and see where we went wrong. But I was box score watching, and it was not fun. It was not. I don't know if you can give any more insight, but I was not expecting that. Oof.
I'll give a little insight, and then I'll actually give you one of the worst beats I've had in a very long time here. But, yeah, so, dude, they just did not throw the ball the entire first half. I think Daniel Jones had, 8 attempts, 5 for 8 in the first half, 13 yards. That was the first half numbers. They had a minute and 20 seconds after they gave up a touchdown, and they were going – I'm like, okay, let's start passing down the field, right? Let's start passing. They freaking run it 3 straight times and let it run out till half. I'm like, if that doesn't show you what this team believes in Daniel Jones, it's just laughable, bro. It's absolutely laughable. The fact that this team even has 6 wins is baffling to me. This team is fucking awful. I just could not watch the rest of that game. After that happened, I was like, dude, how is this happening? What are you doing? Why are we running? You're losing. There's 3 minutes left in the game, and we're still trying to do these underneath dump downs. Dude, let's get a little bit further. It was just a ridiculous game. It was a terrible game plan. We typed up Dable way too much because that game plan there was it was dumb. It just didn't make any sense. Let's run right into the middle of Seattle's defense, who had 8 in the box almost every single play.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like, the Giants have been getting a lot of flimsy wins this season. So it sounded like, we weren't sure how this game was going to go. Vegas was clearly low on them, right? I mean, it was so obvious. Vegas is like, nah, the Giants, they're not what we believe they are. And I guess they were right this week. So, hey, it's good news for Washington, baby, trending in the right direction. So maybe Giants will be at the bottom of this division for, pretty soon. We'll see.
Yeah, and I'm just going to make a quick talk about my worst beat here of the week. Had a huge week. It was actually a very, very good week, but I had Tyler Lockett over 5.5 receptions this week. And I also had him in my stat hero where I was fighting for the $10,000 place for the year long, right? I kind of told you about the year long. And this was my third NFL one I made the whole year. I've been just doing college football because I've been making more money on it. And I had Pollard. We'll talk about him in a second. To Pollard. I had Goff with 25. I had Hill with 35. I had Foreman with 38. And I had Dolchich with 20. So I had all these dudes. This was a perfect setup. Everything was good going into the late game. The top score was 169. I think it was 168, something like that. And I had Lockett left, and I needed 26, I think, to get into the top spot. Lockett, all these guys, Terrence and we got Turbo in here. They'll all know exactly what I'm talking about because I was freaking out. I sent this in. I'm like, dude, we're gonna get close to this 10K. It's gonna be right there. Lockett goes down the freaking sideline, catches the ball, inch out of bounds, and I'm like, no, dude, what the fuck? How is that happening? I'm freaking out. I'm like, dude, this sucks. I just threw the remote. You know how it is. Next drive, he throws a dime on his face mask, and it hits a face mask. He catches. If he would have caught that, we would have hit the 6th one. And then he already caught a touchdown later in the game. So he ends up getting 21. So I lose by 5. So I'm probably in second place because no one else so far this year has got 160. And I'm like, dude, I lost by 5. He catches that touchdown. I'm up by like 10, dude. And I was Tyler Lockett. He might have reached the list of not coming back on the betting card because that was so brutal, dude. I have no words for that. It was so bad.
I saw the clip of him dropping the touchdown too. I didn't realize it hurt you so bad, but that's really funny. All I was thinking is, dang, Goodwin's the guy here now. Maybe he's gonna pass Lockett on the depth chart. So, I didn't realize that hit so close to home here. That is very unfortunate.
That was a $5,000 catch because second place is $5K, top place is 10. So. Yeah, dude, it was not fun. I'm glad a remote isn't like a real thing because that thing got a nice chuck there. That was for sure. It was not fun. But yeah, let's take a look at everybody here in the chat. We got Ryan, first one in here. I think this is Ryan's first time being our first comment. Awesome seeing you guys in here. Carlos, I don't know if we're going to have a 3-unit, but we'll have a couple plays for you. We got Terrence in here. It is a sports equinox. We got the World Series as well today. Honestly, they should change his name because that was terrible. We got Perfecto. Terrence knows exactly what I was talking about. It was rough. Did you have anybody in any of your fantasy leagues? Did you play anybody like A.J. Brown or any of those big boys that kind of screwed you?
No, fantasy. I won this week. I missed all those explosions. I got Rondell Moore had a nice bounce back for me with that touchdown at the end. So my fantasy outlook was actually pretty good this week for once. I missed all those huge landmines, luckily.
Yeah, no, I lost in one league that I played Dak Prescott and A.J. Brown. I lost in that one. That sucked because my team actually played pretty well. And then the other one, I played McCaffrey. And I had Josh Allen with Singletary, and had my Bills run back, and they just didn't have to do too much in that game against the Packers. So I ended up losing that one. I should have won, but and then my other league, I got Tyreek and Jefferson and Pierce and Algier, dude. It was, and I started PJ Walker because freaking Herbert obviously was out with a bye. What an end to that game! Did you watch the end of that, or were you just replay it?
Yeah, I just saw like the DJ Moore making the crazy catch, and then he took his helmet off, and then they missed the extra point, and then that's really all I caught from that game.
I just don't get that, dude. Like, I feel like I get the taking the helmet off, but in a situation like that, bro, like, how do you call that? Like, how do you say you can't take your helmet? Dude, you literally made should have been a game-winning catch, right? That should have been a game-winning catch. And then you penalize him for taking off. I get it, but dude was like off the field. He was almost in the stands because, like, dude, that's a Hail Mary throw. Like, that's something I feel like the league is just trying to like have no fun anymore. It's like, fuck. Imagine the NBA, dude. The NBA, the guy would have probably taken his jersey off. He hits a game-winning 3. He probably takes the jersey off, runs like this, jumps on the table, and that's not excessive. Like that. It's just kind of weird to me that they care more about that than like a good product.
Well, yeah, and even, I don't know what the rules around that are, but my guy, Terry McLaurin, I mean, he took his helmet off when he made our game-winning catch, too. They didn't call anything. I don't know, maybe you have to wait for the whistle to go off, maybe something like that. I'm not 100% sure, but we got away with it, so.
Yeah, it was rough. It was rough to see that. But I guess we're going to kind of talk about a couple things. I'll let you we'll kind of talk about a couple things, break down some games that we liked. We talked about Miami. We talked about the Miami game. Obviously, Stu got to pop out somewhere, but the Miami-Detroit game, I know we talked about the stacks there for DFS. That was awesome. Tyreek obviously going crazy, leading the NFL. He's on pace for over 2,000 receiving yards this year now. Would be the first receiver in history to do that. Obviously, they were down 14 twice in that game. It was pretty cool to see Tua decide that he can come back from a deficit like that. I believe it was 14 almost at halftime, I believe, right? They were down 14 two times throughout the game, and Tua just decided, hey, we're going to come back. And I thought that was really cool to see a younger guy and Tua kind of take the reins a little bit.
I like Tua, man. I like this offense. The one thing I will say, though, is, man, the penalties, right? Did you see that? All those penalties with this game. This is a team that's consistently now kind of been at the top of the league in penalties so far this season. I like the Dolphins a lot. I like their offense. It's fun. It's different. But I do have to say, as we get deeper into the season, stuff like penalties and kind of the in-game timeouts, the in-game challenges is something I do think the Dolphins have to work through. I don't know if you've noticed that, but that's something that's kind of stuck out. Like, I like the way they're playing, but they do have some of those things that once you get into the playoffs, it really does catch up to you.
Yeah, and I'm gonna take my 10 seconds of glory in saying that we called Tony Pollard 150 total. I did talk about him possibly having 175, and I believe he got there. The dude was the number one scoring running back this week in a week of Derrick Henry versus the Texans, and a week where Dante Foreman scored 3 touchdowns. I know I saw you tag me in that thing with Jerry Jones, dude. Jerry Jones, dude, this man must be having like a heart attack or something, bro, because he's talking out of his ass. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, I know. I want to congratulate all you guys, obviously taking your Tony Pollard victory laps. There was a lot of love in here, so that's fun to see. And yeah, no, I thought that quote was hilarious because obviously he has an amazing game, absolutely performs, to the top of his ability, right? That's like a ceiling game. And then Jerry Jones, like, yeah, Zeke's a good pass blocker, right? He's out there, does the dirty work, and he's going to keep him up there. So yeah, no Pollard, I guess, long term, but we'll enjoy it while we can, right?
Yeah, dude, it was, I don't know how you can say that after a game like that. That was the most points the Cowboys scored in, 2 seasons? 49 points? I don't think I've seen them score 49 in 2 years. And didn't really get sacked too much, right? I mean, Pollard is a great receiving back too. So, yeah, let's talk about pass protection when you can just dump it off and get 15 yards instead, dude. Like, dude, that guy's like 98 years old, bro. I don't get it. I really don't understand how he's in the middle of making charge of all this stuff when I just don't understand your thought process about it. He's averaging like 6 yards a carry. Dude. It's nuts how freaking efficient he is on his touches.
Yeah, no, it's something I didn't know if was sustainable, but I mean, he's proven so far it's looking pretty good. So if no Zeke next week, I assume, and we're going right back to fire it up, right?
You got to. Did you have anything you wanted to bring up for our recap portion here before we get into our 2 plays?
Well, Washington won. That was good. We saw Sam Ehlinger. He did look okay passing the ball, but I do have to say our secondary is really bad. So maybe we pump the brakes a little bit. I think anyone can pass the ball on Washington's defense. But hey, we got another win. So that was the highlight of my week. So yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, I think seeing how big of a hit Michael Pittman and Alec Pierce and those guys are going to take with Ehlinger at quarterback, like, I get it. It's for the future, and it's probably going to pay off in the long run. But for fantasy purposes, dude, like, they take like 3 huge steps back because Matt Ryan, guess what? He did exactly what Jameis Winston did when he was an elite freaking quarterback, right? Throw a pick. Every time you throw a pick, it's a pick 6. So guess what? It comes right back to you. You get to throw some more, right? And you get like 8 to 15 catches for Pittman. Pierce gets to make some long plays, right? It's wild. And now you have a guy who wants to be mostly running the ball, right? There are not many down the field actions. I think Pierce had 1 deep catch. That was pretty important catch in that game. So I guess we saw it a little bit there, but yeah, dude, it was rough. It was rough sledding for fantasy managers seeing those guys kind of take that step back.
Mm-hmm. And then to someone, I see Jay mentioned CMC. I mean, if Debo doesn't play, CMC is going to be the number 1 DK guy again, right? In these next couple weeks. I mean, that usage is crazy. What did he have? 5 catches in the end? It's gonna be the same old CMC. So that's good to see if you have him in fantasy this year.
Yeah, no, whenever as long as what's his face is out, Debo's out, man, he's going nuts on him. So there was one other game I wanted to talk about. I just had to figure out what I was gonna say. Who was that game? Oh, just the Buffalo Buzzsaw, bro. Freaking A, dude. That offense, dude, they barely even had to do anything last night. It's just efficiency everywhere. Like, they can take out your best guy, right? I like to see Romeo Doubs for the future. Obviously, he made some wild catches last night. Finally starting to see some younger guys take a step forward here, there. But, dude, how do you possibly say anything about any other team before you mention Buffalo, dude? That team is so good. So fun to watch.
Yeah, no, and I mean, how do you feel about your Packers play calling? We just talked about earlier kind of running the ball when you're down 2 scores. The Packers did exactly what they've been doing when they're ahead, right? I mean, that was a kind of disappointing for me to see. It almost looked like they threw in the towel a little bit very early in that one.
Yeah, dude, once I saw Elton Jenkins was out, it was over. Dude, Elton Jenkins is top 5 right tackle in the NFL, dude. He's that good. And I don't know if you watched the whole thing, but just the limited amount of time we had no Lazard or Cobb, and I'm like, bro, what the fuck are you gonna do? Aaron Jones finally, hey, let's give it to our best player, right? And he was still doing that against an elite front seven, right? So that was encouraging. Obviously, I thought they were gonna lose this game by way more than that, and they covered, right? Hey, great teams cover. Don't matter. Good teams win. Great teams cover. I'd rather be a great team for my money and for my wallet. Unfortunately, I don't bet on the Packers very often because I don't want to take the double hurt. But the last thing I was going to say was, before we get into our plays, only 2 plays, so we get a little bit more of this. But, hey, Broncos country gets a W out in London. My boy Greg Dulcich was fantastic.
Yep.
I had to start him in a league where I have 2 Kelsey leagues, so he came in clutch. He looked great. Do you see this as a turning point for Russell Wilson here, or is it more like it's just the Jaguars fell apart there? Because they should have won that game. The Jaguars had that game.
Yeah, it's a turning point for Dulcich. That guy's he's fantasy betting the rest of the year. I'm with you there, but as a team, no, the Broncos are not still impressive at all whatsoever. I mean, the defense is obviously very strong, but I mean, that playbook, I don't know if you were watching that was brutal. I mean, these play calls were I think the commentators were essentially saying they were high school level, and they weren't completely wrong. I mean, they were running the most basic. I just got Madden last week, and I'm trying my first football plays kind of routes out there with some incredibly talented wide receivers. So that offense is not something that's scared me, and I think good teams will very much punish them for that. But I think they will continue to beat bad teams for the rest of the season.
Yeah, Sutton only 1 catch. Judy finally came to fruition there a little bit. I think they said that was the first 45 or 50-yard play of the season. They had one to KJ Hamler at the end of the game. That was their first one. Mm-hmm. They just haven't had big plays, so obviously we'll see. But yeah,
I got one more too. I got one more for you right here. Zach Wilson is the worst quarterback in the NFL, and it's not close. I mean, I don't know. Some of these plays, right? Where when a guy goes from college to the NFL, they learn a couple of things, right? You can't make all those hero plays, and most guys realize this immediately. Zach Wilson, I don't know if he missed the memo or something, but has nobody told him that you can throw the ball away or you can step out of bounds? Every time this guy gets near the sidelines, we see a cross field Hail Mary into triple coverage. It's absolutely insane, the decision making that's going on with this team. I know they're not an offensive minded head coach, but Joe Flacco's got to step in because it's getting really hard to watch the Jets play with Zach Wilson like that.
So are you saying you want to see the elite Joe Flacco like we wanted to see this whole year? It was, I don't know who else was, one of the guests on the show was talking, it might have been Above Average Prop Guy, who was backing me up on my elite take of Joe Flacco being elite. Hey, if the NFL had wins above replacement and Zach Wilson's the replacement, we're seeing a freaking 12 war from freaking Joe Flacco, man. This dude is elite, throws the ball down the field, doesn't give a crap. Throws it in coverage, but guess what, dude? He stays in there. He knows what his job is, and he finds a way to do it. He gives such a big bump to all the fantasy teams, too, because, that was the first time I've seen Conklin even score more than 5 points since then. It's rough, man. That team is just garbage.
Yeah, I mean, I got on Garrett Wilson as a late ad yesterday.
Nice.
And I was glad it was in the low 30s, most of the week, mid 30s, which just felt too low because I thought they were going to lose. But yeah, I didn't realize it was going to be that bad. I almost don't want to go back to Wilson, even though he doubled his prop number next week just because Zach Wilson's going to be throwing him the ball. So we'll have to maneuver through that one. Maybe we get a Gardner Minshew trade or something before the deadline, calling some reinforcements, baby.
Baker Mayfield or the Jets or what?
Hey, what else? Who else is out there? I mean, Baker. I don't think anyone. I think we're done with Baker as a league. I think we can come together and we've moved on from Baker Mayfield. So that's cool with me. Maybe Nick Foles.
Yeah. No, sorry. I was reading the chat here. The Turbo mentioning the Triple Crown there. That was sweet. Obviously, I think it's since 2005. They said LT was the only other one to do that this century, which was pretty cool. But yeah, enough talking. We're going to some plays here. 20 minutes in. We got 40 of you guys live in here. We appreciate all you guys popping in here on your Monday afternoon. If you could smash that like button, we appreciate it. And we'll be coming at you guys with 2 plays for tonight's action. So heading into this Cleveland-Cincy game, thoughts on a side, thoughts on a total, if you have any, before we get into our plays.
It's hard. I mean, I do lean Cincinnati in this game just in general. Obviously, they're slight favorites, so that kind of is implied right here. And I think the spread's kind of fair. I don't know. I feel another over on primetime hasn't been good to you so far this season, but it does feel like one of those games where both teams battle it out. But I know Vaughn did give us that stat a couple weeks ago about divisional unders being the way to go. So the total is probably a pass for me, but I do give the advantage to Joe Burrow's been playing really well, right? These two teams are kind of trending in different directions, right? Joe Burrow just beat up on 2 bad teams. So we don't really know how much we can weigh that, but they looked really good in those games. And then the Browns obviously are on a 4-game losing streak where they've kind of lost to some good teams. So it'll be interesting to see who pulls this one out. I give a slight lean to Cincinnati. What about you?
I have absolutely no lean on the side at all. I think that line is absolutely perfect where it's at. It's going to get enough money on both sides to be good. I'm seeing 3.5s now kind of getting across the board. On my local book, I just took a look. The Browns are plus 3.5 at like minus 115. So I think that's a great spot. I think I would not touch either side. It's kind of in that no man's land because I could see this being a field goal game, but I could also see Jacoby Brissett making mistakes, right? I mean, this is that type of team where Nick Chubb could make this game into, say, an 8-9 possession game per side, right? Just running down their throat. Kind of what the Packers tried to do to the Bills, but actually probably doing it better. And they're not facing as good of a team as the Bills. And it's just we haven't really seen – I mean, obviously last week is an anomaly for this Bengals team where, like, they get out to a huge lead, right? They got out to a lead. They have not done that. They haven't seen that. I haven't seen that from them in a while, right? Where they're actually getting out and the other team has no choice. Obviously, they play the Falcons, so they obviously do have a choice to just run when they're down 21. But if they start out like that, I think this game is rough. It might be a live bet spot of just taking it a little bigger, even a bigger spread. But I have a weird feeling about Cleveland coming through in this game as a dog at 3.5. I just have a feeling about if I had to take a side, gun to my head, pick a side, I probably would take Cleveland 3.5. I think that extra point kind of gives me a little bit more of an edge there than taking the 3.
Yeah, that's fair. The 3.5 I think is big, right? It does feel like a field goal game kind of either way. So that definitely would change my thinking a little bit. But yeah, it should be a good one. I'm excited to see it. I think we get another solid primetime game today.
For sure. And we're going to one of my favorite dudes. Both of us have one of my favorite guys. Last year's number 1 bet player for me in Nick Chubb. I'm going right back to it. This is your spot, though. I'm going to let you take the first crack at talk about Nick Chubb.
Yeah, it's interesting. FanDuel is a little bit lower than the rest of the market on Nick Chubb right here. 90.5 rushing plus receiving, while it's 94.5 over on DraftKings. So you get a nice 5-yard kind of chunk here. Same with regular rushing yards. And I was kind of deciding between both, right, rushing and receiving. But an interesting thing we've seen these last 2 weeks, especially with all the news around Kareem Hunt being available for trade, is that his usage has just gone way down, right? Nick Chubb was kind of sharing this backfield a little bit more. It was a little bit more 1A, 1B, right, as we saw the first couple weeks of the season. Now that it looks like Hunt, maybe on the move, he may be going to another contender so far this year with the Browns struggles. We've seen Chubb's usage kind of uptick over these last 2 weeks, which is not a common thing, right? You get RB mid, season usage increase, but it does seem, wow, Jay's dropping some breaking news on us right here with Roquan Smith to the Ravens. Hopefully, wow, sorry, that caught me off guard. That's a big one for a division right here. I mean, Roquan, I just bet on him last week, but that's not this game. The point is Nick Chubb has been awesome right on the ground so far. He's hit this in every game but one, and then we've finally seen the receiving kind of uptick these last 2 games, 14 and 26 receiving yards over the last 2. I wouldn't be betting this if I didn't think he could hit it with rushing alone. So I do think he will get here with rushing yards alone, but I like having that added kind of upside of if Nick Chubb is kind of like Derrick Henry. If he makes one catch and he gets in the open field, he could really burn a lot of people. The last thing I'll say, I like Joe Burrow a lot in this game, but I was starting to think without Jamar Chase, it is possible that they do struggle to sustain drives, right? They struggle to actually score touchdowns once they get in the red zone because he's really been their biggest red zone guy. Now that it's T. Higgins stepping into the number one role, they got to kind of depend on some other guys like Michael Thomas to kind of step up, and not the good Michael Thomas, right? The backup Michael Thomas over here. It'll be interesting to see how they deal with that. But I do think that just means a closer game, right? Less risk for blowout and less risk for a non-run heavy game script. So I think Chubb is heavily involved right here, and I think he gets this number, fairly easily.
Yeah, no, and I'm going to go right into mine because obviously we're pretty similar. I'm going to a same game parlay on DraftKings here. Burrow, I know you just talked about him a little bit there, but Burrow's actually hit this number in all three of his games against Cleveland so far. I mean, he's had three pretty massive games. 282 was the lowest total that he's had over the last 2 years against Cleveland. I think that obviously this is a spot where you're going to have to feature Hayden Hurst. You're going to have to feature T. Higgins. And I think they still have enough weapons to get the job done. Obviously, Mixon has shown lately that he's a little bit better receiver than I gave him credit for. And P. Ryan, obviously, that's pretty much his only job is to get it out of the backfield there. 230 is obviously just too low in a spot here. I get it. Jamar Chase is fantastic. I have him in fantasy league, so we don't need to talk about that too much. But I think that actually is going to have Joe Burrow in a primetime spot without his biggest dude. I think he's just going to try to show out and show that he can do it with pretty much anybody, right? You see that quite a bit when you're missing your big guy, right? They're just going to try and say, hey, I can still do it without him here. And I think that he will. If you just want to go over numbers for this season, he's hit it in every game but two. This number, and one of the games that he didn't do it against was against Baltimore, who just, I don't know what happened in that game. They just decided they're going to be a really good secondary. And then you have Chubb. I like that you talked about Kareem Hunt. I think he's going to, I really, really, really contemplated taking his over 17 and a half carries. I thought that was a very good spot too. That was this close to making the card here. But Chubb's averaging 5.9 yards per carry, dude. How can I possibly take carries when this dude's averaging 6 yards a pop? Right. I mean, he could hit this, like on average, he'd hit this in 12 carries. That's unbelievable. That's just nuts with the amount of volume this guy does and just the amount of broken tackles and missed people here. I think Burrow's going to find a way to easily cross this 230. And I think Chubb, dude, it's crazy to me just how he's not in that public eye yet. 34% run block advantage for Cleveland. I think they're going to try to make it exactly like the Packers did last night. Just make it gritty. Try to make it as small amount of possessions as possible. And I think if that happens, Burrow's going to just want to get down the field quick and just get it moving here. So I like Chubb a lot. I think obviously most people do, but it's just a very good spot. I think that we're going to see some pretty big numbers from both sides in this game. I think this definitely has an over type of feel to it.
Yeah, no, and I mean, to be honest, there were really three guys on my list that I was looking at betting, this week. It was Chubb, Burrow, and Tyler Boyd. So to see that you kind of have these two other guys on your list that I was looking at as well, gives me a lot of confidence. Burrow's looked really good throwing the ball. Like I said, I know it's against the Panthers and Falcons. Those aren't the toughest tests in the world, but I mean, he's looked more like himself, right? He's kind of got the swagger back. Everything looks a lot more natural. The biggest thing I see Cole in the chat asking about the run game, right? What do we think about Mixon? Mixon has not been good this year, man. He really hasn't. Like any metric you look at, he's been extremely inefficient with all the volume he's getting. And a lot of it is kind of like what you're saying. Zach Taylor loves running on first down. When you do something so often, there's no mystery involved, right? So he's running against a lot of stacked boxes. He's seeing a lot of tough matchups, and that's kind of hurting Mixon. So I'm not on the Mixon bandwagon at 65 and a half yards. I think that does feel a little bit high to me. I think they're going to try, but if they try and kind of fail a little bit early, I think they're just going to have to lean on Burrow. And I think that's probably, they'd be better if they just leaned on Burrow from the start anyway. So I think it's a Burrow game. I think I'd rather bet like Burrow 300 passing yards than Mixon like 70 rush yards, get some nice plus money.
Let's just, I'm just going to bring this up here quick. Hopefully, obviously, they do run it decent so we can see some play action bombs early in the game. But if you're the Bengals, why wouldn't you try to just do exactly what we did last week? Bum rush the dudes, take away their best chance of winning, which is running the football, right? That would be the best way to do it, right? That's what they did against Atlanta, and it worked, right? It's kind of the same thing here, but the one thing I was going to say was if Nick Chubb breaks like a 80-yard run in this game, say he breaks an 80-yard run, Nick Chubb could honestly have 2 times the amount of yards per carry as Joe Mixon this year. Joe Mixon has 3.3 yards a carry, and Nick Chubb's at 5.9.
Yeah.
So imagine in these first like 10 carries, Joe Mixon runs for like 2 yards a pop, and Chubb just breaks off an 80. He could actually average double, and they probably are pretty damn close to the same amount of attempts. Like, I just looked at that. I'm like, how, dude? That's so crazy for a back who's getting this much volume to have that low of yards per carry, dude. It's just crazy to me. I just had to bring that up because I thought that number was absurd.
Yeah, no, that puts it in perspective, right? Really how different these two guys have been so far this season. So, yeah, for that reason, I do see Turbo say as long as they have him running in the red zone. Yeah, we've got our little parlay going on, right? Last leg is the Mixon touchdown by our guy Prop Bomb. So that feels pretty good, you know. When you only need a guy to get 1 yard, it's a little different. He gets 1 yard everywhere on the field, included in the red zone. So, you know, all he needs to do is get it there and we'll be good.
Yeah, what a ticket. What a ticket, right? I think it was close to 20-1.
Yeah.
We saw a lot of you guys tailing that. I hope you guys were able to. If you guys didn't, I would assume that you just don't have our notifications on over on Twitter, because if you did, you would see it. We have both obviously posted about it as well. So if you guys don't follow us over there, make sure you do and put that little notification bell so you know when we're dropping some stuff. But yeah, that'd be a hell of a ticket. You, me, Vaughn, all already cash, right? I think all of them plus money, or was Hopkins minus?
No, Hopkins was like plus 120. Yeah, we were good. They were all plus money.
Yeah, so we had plus 120. Mine was plus 125, I think, with Foreman. I should have done 3 touchdowns, bro. That thing would have been freaking 100,000, 100-1 on there. But yeah, Foreman came through. And who was the other one?
Christian McCaffrey too, which I wish I saw that was plus money, and I was more in on it, I guess, because I should have hammered McCaffrey touchdown plus money. I know obviously hindsight, but I mean, plus money, that's not going to happen for the rest of the season. So sad we missed out, but at least we got this ticket going. You know, hopefully you guys are riding with us for the Mixon sweat of how many goal line stops are we going to have right here, because they're going to get a couple chances, but we'll see if he can actually grind it out or not.
Yeah, no, it'll be interesting. I think it'll be fun here to have a nice little sweat for a 20-1 ticket. Only need one more thing to happen. Wait until Monday night. But yeah, let's get to our picket play and we'll get out of here for you guys. Higgins over 75.5 is the most bet spot tonight. Thoughts on this one? Obviously, most people probably go in there because of the Chase news.
Yeah, this one's hard for me, man. I'm kind of I want to go over just because I told you I believe in Burrow. I kind of like the 300 passing yards. I think he has a good game right here, but you know, I do like other guys more. I kind of mentioned I like Tyler Boyd in this one. I like Hurst at tight end. I think the running backs stay kind of involved here. I think Higgins gets close. You know, I think he's at like 70, 71. The thing is, if I'm wrong, he's just going to have like 150 yards. You know what I mean? Like, he's one of those guys where he could very easily have a 50-yard catch. So I'm going to fade the public, but it's going to be close on this one. I don't feel great about it. What about you?
I have Burrow, so I'm hoping he hits this. This is more of just me being hopeful. It's not going to be a bet for either side for me, but if I'm going to back it, I just want Burrow to throw for some damn yards. So I'm going to just be taking it there just because I'm already going to be betting on Burrow. So do like that spot. Chubb versus Mixon. Pick 'em over on DK. Obviously, are you leaning the same way I am with Mr. Chubb there?
Yeah, I mean, it kind of makes sense to be a little closer, right? Because the game script with the spread implies that Cincinnati will be ahead, so in a better position to run the ball. But I do think that Chubb will end up beating him tonight 100%. So, yeah, if you can get that at reasonable odds, I would definitely not have a problem with that whatsoever.
Yeah, no, I can't believe they're actually giving that, but this is a good spot to get it at, especially if Joe Mixon runs 22 times and Chubb runs 12. He's supposedly going to get the same amount of yards in that with just going off their averages there. So, it's rushing and receiving. It's rushing and receiving there.
Interesting. See, yeah, that could be scary though, because Mixon could definitely give you another 25 over the air. You know, while Chubb is a little less
valuable there.
But I mean, I would take a shot on it honestly if I wasn't already very invested in Nick Chubb just to, flat out play well. But I do like that spot. It's pretty solid.
Yeah, I think that is everything. I did not see any other questions in the chat. We're at that 30-minute mark anyway. That's where we usually like to stay for this show because you guys know our Friday one kind of goes to like that hour range. So we've been around 30 minutes. We're doing pretty well at keeping them there. So we will do our recap here, and we'll get to a couple questions I just saw there.
Sounds good. Yep, I'm firing up Nick Chubb over 90.5 rushing plus receiving yards, -114 on FanDuel. You get a nice 5-yard discount from DraftKings. And then Pickett, Taylor fade. I'm going to be just slightly fading Higgins under 75, but I do like it. I think it's a good line. He should have a solid game.
Perfect. And I will be tailing this one just because I'm already on Joe Burrow over 230 and Nick Chubb to get 70 rushing yards. I see the guys in the chat kind of talking about the rushing receiving. It's -18.5 rushing yards. What is your thoughts on that one?
That's a lot, obviously. I mean, he's got to beat him by 20, but I still think he probably does, but I would just rather bet the rushing yards at that point, right? Like I'm already committed to it. So I'll probably just stick with the rush yards, but I mean, I think he does it, I think he beats him. So we'll just have to see tonight, I guess.
Yeah. And finally, before we get out of here, before we do our show ending stuff, did you see that ticket for $7 to win like 124,000 last leg? Joe Mixon over 65.5 rushing yards is the last leg for I think he said he was getting married this weekend, and he just said, "Hey, this was my lucky number." Played it, $7.77 to win 124K, 16 or 15 leg. Joe Burrow or Joe Mixon over 65.5. Are you cashing out of that ticket?
I mean, if the cash out is really good, then maybe, but I'd probably hedge it first, right? Because you can just get a 1-to-1, maybe even middle it if you get like a couple of yards over. That would be insane. But yeah, no, I would not feel great about it, to be completely honest. But shout out to that guy. I mean, if I won something like that too, and I was getting interviewed, I would just start making up stories too about it. Like you kind of made me think of it right there. Just give some crazy explanation for why you got all your picks, just some insane stuff. And you guys will be the only ones that know that I'm just making it all up. So that would be nice.
Yeah, dude, I bet you that guy's going to open VIP pretty quick right there on that too. Huh? So 124K, bro. What a freaking ticket. That is just unbelievable ticket. Congrats to that guy. Hopefully he wins. Having I think his cash out is suspended. Think that is a hell of a ticket, though. Still, tip your cap. Any NBA plays? I know you dropped some already on Twitter, correct? I think I saw, or was it Pickett? You mentioned something, or was that this weekend that I saw that?
Just this weekend.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I need to get into that still, too. So I'm not there yet. I hope first quarter's out or coming out pretty soon, and I'll probably get to work. But yeah, I don't have anything yet. I know you have a play of the day video out, though, right? Yep,
play of the day video is already out. Actually, just once this is over, just go right back. It's the last video. Going with my boy, going with my guy from Oshkosh up here with Tyrese Halliburton in that one. So he will be in my play of the day there. So that'll be my only NBA play so far. But one thing I will mention, dude, you got to take those snipers against the Bucks tonight, dude. Detroit, they're like 14-point dogs, and all we're going to see is freaking Bucks sitting in the paint like always, dude. We might see 75 threes put up in that game, and I'm not even kidding.
Yeah, I mean, it's just then you got to trust the Pistons, Which
dude, it's like a 15-point spread, bro. It's like a 15-point spread. I'm like, damn, that's huge. Like, you don't see that very often. So, yeah, dude, it's going to be interesting in that game. But what do you got for the people, Stu? We're right at that 38. We're not going to cross into the 40. We're not going to do it. So we got to get it done here. What do you got for the people before we head out today?
Yeah, if you like this, we'll both have more stuff out on Twitter. Like we mentioned, obviously you can follow us below. We're also both over on Pikkit Sports. That's where we get our tail or fade from. You guys can obviously do that yourself. Find out the most popular plays of the day. Where's the money at? What's the community betting on? Who are your favorite cappers betting on? You can get all that stuff as well as tracking your bets and all the social stuff over on Pikkit. Use code PTP. completely free app. They'll send you between $3 and $100. It's a good resource to have. Like I said, I'm always posting my like weekend stuff on there like a couple days early, just because I don't have time to tweet every single article out on Twitter exactly when I finish writing them, because as you know, you guys don't want to click on all that shit, right? So I got to kind of space it out, and Pikkit gets that kind of stuff early because those are the people that like to support us. So if you guys support the show, you want to continue to do that, free app, they'll send you between $3 and $100, code PTP.
Yeah, we appreciate all your support over there. I think both of us are closing in on 1,000 followers over there on Pikkit, which is cool. Just another avenue for us to post plays, post our articles over there, have a little bit more fun. I usually just drop the play right there, and if you guys want to click it, you can see it there. But yeah, thank you guys for tuning in. Fun little recap today. I think if we are profitable on this slate, that would be 4 straight weeks of profitable stuff. Looking at our year to date, 35-28, almost to the 10-unit spot, which would be awesome, would be very cool. Getting into that 8-week, right? We're right at halfway point. Would be cool to touch that 10-unit spot. So thank you guys for tuning in. You guys are the best, and appreciate all your support throughout all of these videos. And we'll see you Wednesday for our play of the day stuff coming at you again. We'll have props for Thursday Night Football, a 14-point spread Thursday Night Football game. Jesus, it's going to be interesting. Maybe you have to switch to NBA if this spread gets too big. But tune in. Make sure you follow us over on Twitter to see what we're up to. So have a good one, guys. Best of luck tonight. And, yeah, let's kill it.